The applicant indicates that he's only cutting 1,000 cubic yards of land. Based on my calculations, and I can show that to you in a physical form, that he's closer to 2,400 cubic yards of cut, not to mention the fill and not to mention the roadway that he has to build. Also, the applicant indicates that there are no retaining walls higher than 5 feet in his application. There is no way that you can build a 4,000 square feet on a 56% slope with 5-foot retaining walls. It's just erroneous. In conclusion, I'd like to urge the Council and Commissioners to reject the project based on inaccuracy, misrepresentation, and hold the applicant responsible to restore the damage that he has caused to the hillside.
Didn't you say that you woke up by jackhammers and all of that? How could you not found it was you? Okay, so you didn't wake up by jackhammer.
I have seen the same thing. I've seen bulldozers. I have seen dirt hauling away from the property.
And that did not raise a red flag for you, sir?
I didn't know what he was doing, or maybe there was the city. I don't know where his property is.
Okay.
You know, I know Mr. Hamilton said he was very confident with his assessment, but just sitting here listening to the testimonies, I will feel more comfortable having these questions answered a little bit more in a proper way.
Mr.
And
Lee,
my concern that the information I have here from 2 different sources do not overlay and make me comfortable that I'm making a decision based upon correct information. That's
At the last meeting, some members of the public raised objections related to the accuracy of the grading and whatnot. Those materials, some of those exhibits that were submitted are behind you. They were forwarded to our engineering department. The engineering department looked at those materials and shares some of their concerns. And in fact, the engineering department believes that the grading estimate might be low by 1,000 cubic yards from what the applicant said.
If the original proposal that was proposed in 2014, January of 2014, was denied ultimately by the Planning Commission, where did the roads and driveways come about? Was that permitted? Was there any permits or grading permits or anything?
From what's
received?
existing now, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering, how did the road and 2 roads,
I don't know at what point they came into existence.
The question is, did they pull a permit to build those roads?
I don't know if. I don't.
I'm asking.
Well, whatever was done.
Was done without a permit.
Yeah.
Was there a permit pulled for the roads and the driveways and the pad or a partial pad that it was created?
So the paved portion on Laird has been a street for a while.
No, I'm talking about the private road that it's already created, the driveway that is created, that they're proposing right there. And I'm assuming it was there part of the original submittal for the Planning Commission that it got denied. So
That's correct. So per our record, there was no permits pulled for that.
thank you.
For the grading as well?
That's correct. Also the grading as well.
Thank you.
No permit.
We know how many cubic yard of earth was removed?
No.
This is another, if my colleagues recall, this is another Colina but on larger scale. We have the same siding, and it's overlooking 2 neighbors. In this case, the driveway is even longer and more intrusive. So I don't want to see a repeat of Colina again. I'm honestly saying this to ease off the process. I mean, we could be going back and forth for several times, and you know that, Mr. Hagopian, and I don't want you to do that. We'll have to find a way to place this house closer to Laird. And in addition to that, as part of my conditions that I'll, restore the hillside as originally was.
So for me, it's more of an issue allowing something that was done without a permit, without a proper process, with a conditions, 26 conditions, and these conditions that were given to us by the Public Works are designed so that it creates a safety, a safe improvement that doesn't put other people in jeopardy, neighbors in jeopardy, neighbors, and protect the trees and other conditions there that we have existing. So the applicant has decided, or not the applicant, but the owner has decided to take that on their own, even though after the denial of the project, go ahead and grade this, assuming that the location is going to be approved, even though the Planning Commission already stated that it was not an appropriate location.
My major concern still lies with site planning, and the issue, it just, the actual site plan as it sits today does not meet the fabric of the Chevy Chase Hills. And the problem with that is you're still high up on the hill, which makes you closer to the secondary ridge, and once you do that, you become visible from the canyon, and that's totally against what the design guidelines say. The neighbor's privacy, but this is the only thing that's bothering me, just being visible from the canyon, being close to the secondary ridge, and the neighbor's privacy and that driveway. I think these are the major issues that I have.
There's a lot of different ways to design this project. With all due respect, I disagree with the architect to be able to say this is the only way, and if this is not going to happen, then the project is scrapped. There's definitely many different ways to do this. There's definitely a way to reduce the garage. There's definitely ways to reduce the grading. There's definitely ways to unnecessary amount of steps and patios and other things where we're dealing with a property that has violations. We're dealing with properties that has conditions there that we need to fix certain things. We need to fix the relation with the neighbors. We need to fix all the problems that has been done before, after. Maybe he hasn't done it. Maybe he bought and inherited these problems. So he needs to work with community. He needs to work with staff to come up with the most desirable and most efficient project possible, in my opinion. So we cannot just come and say that this is the only project that we can only put on this property and this is the only solution that we can find. I completely disagree with that. So I think there's definitely ways that we can solve this. By one example, I'm not saying that's the only example, just take that garage, slide it down, bring it down, eliminate all that extra driveway that is going all the way up. If you're putting a wall there, put a wall up, just a small little driveway coming up. You don't need to create more extra grading, extra issues for other parts of the property. Fix the rest of the stuff and just be done with this. I mean, it's been many years. I mean, there are solutions, but there are ways that you need to solve this problem. And we're not here to design it for you, but we're here to explain to you what the issues are. And this is not the solution that I see.
What I would like to do is do a motion for return for redesign with 3 points. Point 1, adding sizable oak trees and other native vegetation to restore the illegally graded areas and also act as a barrier or bar to future vehicular travel on the illegally graded portions that are not part of the proposed driveway that gets finally approved. Point number 2, a reduction in the square footage or mass of the house to be more in line with the neighborhood and to reduce the size, the effective mass on the building. And staff can work with applicant, and applicant can work with the neighborhood to get to that point. And 3, a reworking of the site plan to achieve the first 2 goals. which can include repositioning the home or the or the garage to achieve those other goals.
My name is Graham Wiffler. I live at 3235 Cornwall Drive in Glendale. I'm the co-president of the Chevy Chase Estates Association, and I'm bringing a message of opposition from the association for this ongoing project. There is an element of bad faith that has been occurring here for years. In December of 2017, we came before the DRB, and there were 3 conditions. They were pretty much met on the old plans here, but the new plans completely ignored the conditions from 2017. The driveway, they were told to site the car driveway or the garage facing Laird, and they were told to lower it, which they did in our old plans. They were also told to make the house smaller and to move it down the hill. Well, now the garage is back up where it was told not to be, and the house is moved up the hill. Also, we got the association got an email, which I'll give to you. You might have seen it. Should have been in your pack, from an architect. No, and this architect calls into question the grading numbers of this plan, the current plan, and also the retaining walls. Now, this architect appeared here in 2015 before the Planning Commission, and he challenged the owner's plans that were submitted at that time, and he challenged them for being erroneous. And it turns out they were. The grading was all off, and the square footage was all off. They were erroneous plans. Thirdly, we've met with the owner several times. The last time we met, he looked everybody in the eye, and he promised to clean up the sandbags that were left over from his illegal grading. And they're still there. That was like 3 months ago. He said he would do it within a week. He looked in everybody's eyes and said, I will clean those up within a week. And they're still there months later.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and start the deliberation. And I will start with you, Mr. Malikian.
As long as I remember, this issue has been a hot topic with the neighborhood, with us, with everyone, with the neighbors. It is unfortunate that, and we've seen several designers be part of this project, and it is unfortunate that all the professionals have been on board. Not once they have suggested to do a complete analysis of a grading plan to show us how we're going to be able to fix what it was done prior for the owner to be involved. This has been my concern. This has been the neighbor's concern and the community's concern. So right now when I'm looking at this and getting all these random numbers of calculations, and every time there's a set of plans that come from front of us, we really don't have a good sense of what has happened in the past, how they're mitigating that, how are they fixing that, and how we're moving ahead with this project. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that this is the right approach. This is just a kind of a stitching of a problem that they're trying to hide behind, and not really truly fixing that property to be a graded, a simple note that a grading plan has to be taken through the public works. Previous people, we asked them, we want to see the retaining walls. We want to see what the quantity is, how this thing is going to get fixed. And this has been on and on and on. It's been years, and I remember this from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and we're still talking about the same issues. But I think it needs a great, after we're done with site planning, after we're done with grading issues, and if there are any drainage issues, I think that the overall design of the project needs to be looked at very carefully. It needs to be a high quality, an effort, a priceless effort of design that needs to be placed in this property, that it calms everyone down, that after so many years we've approved, and the client has, the applicant has developed a quality, a gem, a star in the neighborhood. So
My comments will be brief. I think I agree on almost every, on most of the comments that Mr. Malikan had raised. So last time around, I voted no because I didn't think this is the right direction either. But I think we had two members. It was Mr. Arzumanian and Mr. Charshin, and there was passing of the gavel, and that's how the project got where it is. And I think that restoring the legally graded driveway was like one of the most important items for the neighbors and for all the adjacent neighbors and for the neighborhood, because it abuts multiple properties, and we wanted to assure that no vehicles in the future will be going and no building will occur in that area. If you want to take it and do a motion for, I guess, denial at that point.
yeah, I'm gonna move to deny the project as it is presented now.
Let's see if we have a second.
Second.
You have a second from Mr. Arzumanian?